Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And Mike and I were having a little pre-podcast meeting and had one of that's probably the worst technical issue we've had with this since we started with Riverside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
just
that and my fat fingers didn't help.
The end result, Mike disconnected his internet, but
yeah.
But yeah, anyhow, so maybe Riverside was just like, hey, if you're going to be on this studio talking, you better start fucking recording. Maybe they kicked us out. Who knows? Yeah, so we just entered, set up the studio, and we're having a little conversation before we got on here. But it was just weird. The voices were cutting out, and then at the end, obviously you with the internet, but who knows? But literally, out of what is this? Goddamn, we're episode 45 already.
Wow.
But and I think we started Riverside. Actually, I know for a fact we started with Riverside in episode 23, and that was the episode that we came out of the shittiest concert ever. Well, the shittiest headliner, the shittiest headliner ever, Greta Van Fleet. But we're not going to go back.
Shittiest concert we've been to together.
Yeah, but again, Rival Sons and now why can't I think of the other one?
Velveteers,
yeah. If you guys want a true, honest review of those three bands, go back to episode 23. Because Mike and I took a ride up to Green Bay and saw the concert. If anyone's new and hasn't heard that episod, it was a fun one. It was a great trip.
Yeah.
We had a good time, but so
rocking and rolling in sobriety, bitches.
What will we do when we're sober?
Apparently have fun.
I know, yeah. But so here's a funny thing, and I wanted to bring this up right away. So I started listening, just popped into a different podcast today, one that I hadn't ever listened to before, and I'm not going to mention it right now because I'm sort of going to make fun of it a little bit, but they do give good information. And so for everyone that knows, and I will give, at some point I'm going to give this podcast praise, but now that I talked about making fun of it, I'm not going to name it right now. But this is my opinion, is that I've dipped into a lot of different podcasts. We're not perfect. We're certainly not for everyone. I've listened to some really shitty podcasts, sober podcasts, other ones that are good, and I brought them up on here, and that's what I plan on doing. But it's a female host, and seriously, she's wonderful. Got a cool story. Not an AA person, got sober, different way. Considers herself a gray area drinker, but she's got some good stories. I'm only on the third episode, maybe fourth, but she had two guests on there, and both friends of hers. One that she met through Instagram. Ended up meeting that person, was in the same city as her. And then a friend of hers that she had known for fucking ever that also got sober. But the thing a couple of things is that they're starting off the podcast. It's just I am so excited that this person's here. And this lead in like this. And then I keep saying this all the time. I listen to these other podcasts, and usually majority of them are the women that are super fucking nice to each other and super fucking supportive. and at the end they're like, "Thank you, stick around, just come back," which again is fine. I give them all the credit in the world, but then I the way we end our podcast,
Right.
telling people to fuck off, and then
Yep.
one episode you're telling me to drive into a fucking abutment.
Yep.
It's such the contrast is hilarious, but I don't know. But seriously, I mean, cool information. I like listening to. I like getting the different points of view,
Sure.
because seriously, before I started listening to all these podcasts, which was a little over a year ago,
Right.
I had never heard of. Well, you never heard of gray area drinking before, did you?
I have no idea. I know about blacking out, but
that's the only color that's been associated with your drinking, right?
It all went black.
And you know what? And speaking of, she talked about a blackout too. So again, very cool. And I'll bring up the podcast at some point, but just everyone forget that I was making fun of it for a minute,
Right.
And then when we do bring it up, I'm not going to reference what I just said now because, I mean, I don't want to offend her because seriously, she's got some good information. She's cool.
Right.
But yeah, just, okay. So here's the thing. So we figured out, like you and I figured out a couple episodes ago, I told you we've got a higher percentage of female followers, but a smaller percentage of female listeners now.
Right.
So I can't imagine we're going to get any nicer on here, right? I mean, we're not going to.
I don't plan on it.
Okay. So I figured that. So brushing that part aside, we can't. That's going to take that off the list. But
right.
I discovered two words that we can use that seem to be popular with the chicks. Okay.
All right.
So
wait, let me get out a pen here. Okay, go ahead.
You're not writing anything down. You lying motherfucker.
Yeah, it's the theater of the mind.
But you know what? The funny part is, I always have a pen in my hand because I got a little sheet with keep my notes on here. But so I actually do have a pen in my hand. But
all right.
So first of all, vibe. There's always talking about vibe, the vibe that the person has on Instagram, such a cool vibe, a calming vibe, a comfortable vibe. So we got to talk. We got to talk about vibes. I don't know. I'm sure. talk about vibes. So not vibe. I keep wanting to say vibrator when I say.
Right. Does that vibe need batteries? What kind of batteries does it take?
Okay, so then again, let's throw that word off the table because now we've just made the word vibe into a sexual toy. Okay,
of course.
So the other one, I can already tell the other one's not going to work. Saying something is my jam, but now that we just talked about we just talked about a sex toy and jam. Okay, fuck it. You know what?
Right.
Forget it.
What about jelly?
Well, again, sex toy, jam,
right.
Jelly.
Right. Lubricant. You got to lubricate it. Otherwise, you're just not being nice.
It's in our female listenership just dropped off by another 10%.
Yep, I know.
No, but
it went up by 10%.
That could be too. But and here's the funny part, and I swear to God, I went into that thinking, yes, I wanted to joke a little bit about the words jam and vibe, but I never for the life of me, and I'm ashamed of myself for not thinking about the fact that it was like a vibrator. But
that's why I'm here, man. We gotta complete this thing.
Well, like we were just talking about in our little in the green room, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, be nice. We have to take it to completion.
Right. But my point is this thing doesn't work without the two of us is what I was talking about.
Or batteries.
Right. Because you don't want to plug. You want to have cordless. So yes, batteries. Always have batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we ruined that opportunity. I'm just gonna I just marked that as number one. That's going in the show description, but the episode description. But you fucking ruined that one. So okay. But so obviously tomorrow is New Year's Eve.
It is.
We talked about the holidays with Thanksgiving and now Christmas and New Year's is always the one that. Even when I was drinking, everyone always called it the, amateur night, which is
absolutely.
which is true because a lot of people that whether they're problematic or not, people go out and do their thing. I
Yeah.
mean problematic drinkers,
Right.
but and then those of us who are problematic drinkers just just do it worse.
Keep cruising along. Right.
Yeah, and just kick it up a notch. We're
Yeah.
we're doing 70 down the freeway. We just set the cruise at 80 for the night or 90.
Yep.
But so with New Year's Eve, I mean, first of all, from a safety standpoint, I mean, people got to be safe. I mean, if you're people aren't going to take our advice on that sort of thing, but if you're trying to be sober, get sober, that sort of thing. We brought it up last week again, and I'll defer back to you again. What was the number one thing if somebody was going to a Christmas gathering, holiday gathering, New Year's Eve, newly sober, want to go out? What would be the first number one thing that they should do?
Have a plan.
Right.
Right.
What does that mean, Mike? Have a plan.
Well, Bill.
I was just going to take a drink of coffee. I was fucking spilled it on myself.
What that means is don't just walk into it with yourself, man. Because have an escape plan. Have a plan. Don't just hey, I'm sober now, but I'm going to go to the bar I used to go to and hang out with all my buddies because that's what we always do. That's not a good plan.
It's a plan, though.
Well, yeah, it's just a bad plan. Have a good plan. How about that?
Right.
Speaking of buddies, if at all possible, have somebody sober with you, man. Don't try to do anything on your own. About 12 and a half years into this thing, we're still doing this on the buddy system, and I don't see that going away anytime soon. Don't, Jesus Christ, man, it's another day. We buy new calendars. That's what it means.
That's a good way to put it, but that's the thing. And I get it, especially for, and there's people that are, let's say, I'm just going to say flat out, newly sober, but younger also, 20s and 30s and still want to get out and do things.
Right.
Here's a number one absolute fact is if you're listening to us because you found us through Instagram, get on fucking Instagram and start looking up sober shit. Okay.
Right.
Find people to follow. We have 3,500 followers now, and I would guarantee that 80% of those are people either sober or trying to get sober or on that brink, where they're saying, hey, I'm going to peek in here a little bit. I mean, I see people that follow us that we get real estate agents, insurance agents, we get, these sort of things, probably regular people that might just like our memes, but there's a huge, and I heard that on a podcast a year ago, which is why I joined Instagram. But so in Chicago, for instance, it's one of our followers, and I had linked up with her, I think, I don't know if it was through that Sober Grid or where it was, but she's got this they put on these events all the time, and she's all about the mocktails and that sort of thing. But they do these pop-up events all over the city of Chicago all the fucking time. And it's not the only place. I mean, they're happening in a lot of cities. So,
sure.
Look for things like that. There's people out there, there's groups out there, doing sober things. So the first year that Mike, you and I were sober, we went to that thing with Dominic. Now was
right. Yeah. Was Dominic even there? I know his dad was there.
Oh, that's right. He might have been there for a little bit. I remember his dad was there.
Yeah. Mag was definitely there. Yeah. That was pretty much the demographic. It was, people 15 years and older than us. We were kids there.
Right.
In our mid 40s.
Yeah. And that, because you got to figure that if it was that first year, we were, like 42 and 43 or 42 and 44.
Right. And, something like that.
Yeah, and we were the young ones.
We were.
But the point there is that we had talked about it, and we thought it'd be kind of cool to get out and just do something,
Right. Yeah.
And we couldn't have been in a safer place.
Right. No, we could not.
Because it wasn't even as if we were gonna, hook up with some newly sober, young lady. that didn't have her shit straight, but looked really
Right.
good, that might get us into trouble. I mean, we didn't. There wasn't even that opportunity.
No, that wasn't. No. No,
But-
maybe maybe a newly sober 60-year-old broad that would
Right.
definitely get us in trouble.
Well, yeah, you know what? I don't even. God, those aren't even called cougars anymore. What the hell would that age be called?
That would
Somebody
be a
in there.
gilf. Don't Google that.
Gilf. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. But no, but the whole point is that we purposely looked for something safe to do.
Yeah.
And was it the best thing in the world? I mean, we had fun. They had great food. It was they had a band.
It
Played
was a
some,
dinner and dance, and it was a New Year's Eve thing. Just no booze, and it was a sober thing. Yeah, right.
Right. And it was, again, probably the smartest and safest place that we could have been. So, but the whole point with that is that, like to Mike's point, is that have a plan, have an escape plan, have a good plan,
Right?
have a good plan.
Right.
But yeah, try to go with somebody, man. And it was 40. It was out in Avon, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
But it was a little bit of a cruise. But yeah, we got back. We actually got back right. A little bit before midnight when they were still.
We got home about 11:30. Yeah.
Before when they were still propping up Dick Clark. Oh,
yeah.
That was terrible. that was fucking terrible.
That was. Well, I told Bill on the way home, I was like, yeah, we'll be home in time to see stroked out Dick Clark. And he was like, what? Because he didn't know. I had seen him the year before. Because
I had, God, I can't even remember the last time. And I mean, for years when we were kids, we used to watch that, Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve or Rockin' Years or whatever it was.
That was it.
It was the place, literally the thing to watch, on New Year's Eve. And it was cool. But, if anyone looks back now, that was New Year's Eve 2010. I'm sure some sick motherfucker has that Googled or has that on YouTube. So it was
going into 11, right?
Oh yeah, we joke about it, but it was
sad,
terrible. It was it was sad and it was terrible that they had him propped up there. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. So but it did make me, as we were talking about this. So when you were still drinking, did you ever do? Was New Year's Eve like a big deal, or just like going out and getting fucked up, or did you go to like events ever, or what did you normally do, or memorable things that you did?
No, I mean, well, certainly the last 10 years or so. I stayed home and got hammered.
Right.
Like any other night. Again, amateur night. I mean, I lived in New York. God, what was it? 91 into 92, I believe. So, we walked up to Times Square, and, so I got to be there one year for that. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I had a pint of whiskey in my pocket, and, it was, I mean, literally we walked, I lived on 8th Avenue. We walked up and what came around. So we were towards the back of it, and it was just, it was a trip, man. It's like, it's literally 1 million people or something like that. It's something crazy. Right. Yeah. And, so, I got to experience that, and then went home and finished myself off.
that thought could go in there. That statement could go in two different directions, but I'm thinking you're talking about the drinking part of it. But again,
I was, right. Well, my ex-wife was with me, so she finished me off.
She finished you off. Okay, I got you. Hello.
Right.
But that would be cool. And still, to this, I'm not a huge fan of. I probably said that. I don't know if I said it on here, but I'm not. I don't know that I'm claustrophobic, but I can get, if I'm around too many people packed in like that. It's one of those things where I feel like I want to rip my skin off, because I'm like, I just fucking get away from me.
Right.
But I would still, even to this day, I'd still love to be, just to see that, even on the outskirts of it, on the outskirts of the crowd, just to be in that atmosphere one time. I think it'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It's one of the things I'm glad I got to do.
Well, and when Dawn and I were together, we always did something for New Year's. I know that the 99 into 2001. I remember where we were then. It was like I don't know, some package they had at this local restaurant, and it was a decent restaurant. They had the guy owned like a bar, and then he owned another bar restaurant. Both of them, served food, but one was a little bit nicer than the other. So whatever it was like $100, I think, a couple,
Right.
and you could get either steak or seafood or steak or lobster, one of the two, I think, something like that, or chicken probably, for a meal, and then open bar.
Right. Right.
Now, and they're like, oh, it's rail drinks, and I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Right.
I was wrecked. We had a great time. I mean, all of us did. It was me and Dawn, and then we went with another couple. Great time, but fucking wrecked. I got my money's worth. I think we all did.
Right.
But the one that was the one that popped into my head, God, I don't even remember what year it was. As far as Dawn and I had been married, I think a couple years, 2-3 years, whatever. There was and you'll actually know where this place is. So the where we saw Lita Ford, where the Harley dealership is.
Yeah.
Going in there, there's that parking lot, and what is now a strip club,
Right.
used to be, well, in this one here, that strip club actually is a gentleman's lounge. It's not the fucking Lido Club.
Right.
It actually is nice. It's called Silk, and it's been there for a while, and it's we've been in there. One of Dawn's brother's buddies used to work there. We'd go in there as a group. Dawn would go in there too.
Oh yeah.
So it was a nice club, but
Right.
it used to be a kind of like a dance club type of thing. So there was a local band that we both enjoyed that was playing there on New Year's Eve, and same deal. They had this whatever price, go in the band, all you can drink.
Right.
So what we did right across the street was a Hampton Inn. And at the time there was, I think there was a Denny's right there. In that area has, even when you and I were there, what is that, 7-8 years ago now, 6-7 years ago, that area has declined. But at the time that we were there, which was, God, probably almost 20 years ago now, it was nicer,
Right.
So we planned it all. We got the hotel. That's what it was, the hotel and that package.
Right.
And then we had dinner at Denny's, and then went over, excuse me, went over and watched the band. And it was a fucking blast. Cause again, it was a band that we enjoyed,
Right.
So we're in there and it's packed and we're having fun. And the funniest part about Dawn was that she was one, and I've talked about this before. I think that I was more of like, if the two of us were runners, I was like a cross country drinker, and she was a sprinter,
Right.
So she'd get in, she'd lit up, and then she'd either quit or just slow down and come down. I would just drink the entire fucking night.
Right.
So she's good and buzzed up. We're out there dancing, and I swear to God, and you got to figure at this point, I'm probably I couldn't have been more than mid-30s, so maybe 35. So she would have been probably 31. And I mean, Dawn's attractive to this day, but I mean, 20 years ago, she was a fucking, I mean, she looked, she looked really good, and I don't take away from how she looks now, but again, me 20 years ago, same thing. I look hopefully better than I do now. So these chicks are, I don't know, whatever, these couple of chicks, and these two chicks that were start dancing by stuff, we're talking to them or whatever. I mean, they were just, hanging out, having fun. And these chicks were hotter than I could even imagine. I mean, my wife's sitting there and she's fucking smoking hot in my eyes. And then to get these two chicks probably in their, if I had to guess, probably in their 20s. So one of them, they're both blonde too. So one of them comes up to me and whispers in my ear, and she's like, "We want to fuck your wife." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Yeah, we want to fuck your wife." And I'm like, "Really, Dawn?"
Oh dear.
Yeah. And then and I said, I tapped her on the shoulder, and again, now just picture this. She's buzzed up to begin with, not completely in her right mind. I told her, I'm like, yeah, I said these two, I said, no, I said, tell her what you just said. So the chick tells her, and Dawn's like, we got a hotel right across the street. And I'm like, I'm fucking in, and then Dawn's done. You could see when it hit her. It's like she immediately came to, and she's like, because it was late in the night anyhow. But again,
Right.
she's like, "We got to go over here. Let's go get a drink, whatever." So then she completely backs off, and I'm like, "Motherfucker!"
Mhm.
But it was the funniest thing in the world because then, like I said, Dawn's like, "We got a hotel right across the road. We got a hotel." They're like, "All right, let's go, man."
Right.
Uh, but that was one of the best stories that never happened. But I
Right.
swear, I
Mhm.
swear to God, it sounds made up. It's fucking not.
Right.
I,
Oh
I
yeah.
couldn't even make up something like that. So
Right. Dear Penthouse, you're not going to believe this.
yeah, and then at the end, the penthouse is going, "What? Nothing happened? Fuck!"
Right.
crinkle it up and throw it away. So, but yeah, it was just kind of funny. So I think that covers things with New Year's. That story popped into my head. But
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah, but nothing. I mean, when I was really younger, I mean, we played a few times. Yeah, I remember one night I was on acid pretty good, and that was a fun night. Yeah, I've had a few decent New Year's Eves, but yeah, for the most part, like I said, especially at the end, last 10 years or so, it was like, fuck it, I'm not going out, man.
right.
I'm staying in and getting fucked up, watching Dick Clark.
Well, and I know that. So Dawn and I split up in beginning of January. I don't think we did anything that New Year's, but usually most of the New Year's we went someplace. But I mean, after she and I split up, I know I didn't do anything for those last 4 years.
Right.
Same deal. God, I don't think I did, but I'm trying to think if I went out. I had some drinking buddies that I worked with, but I don't think I went anywhere. Same deal. I'm like, I don't want to go out. Kathy and Mark's. I used to get on to Kathy and Mark's a lot of times too, but same deal. That's all we did. We sat around and
so what are we doing this year?
Actually, so Kathy Kathy's friend Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy had asked me, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. She's like, "What are you doing for New Year's?" Where Cheryl and I guess another friend of theirs, Sharon, I think Kylie and Caleb, they all made reservations at this nice steakhouse here in Valpo. And to begin with, my first thought was, I'm like, I was thinking about coming out to Cleveland, to do the poker thing.
Right.
But the reason I didn't bring it up, because the more I thought about it, I'm like, man, but with tomorrow and possibly even, Sunday or Monday, there's still shit we got stuff to deal with Mom's house. And I'm like, I'm not going to, I'll save it I'll be out there in February anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Kathy, I'm like, yeah, let's go do that. And then I said, we should go to the casino. So Kathy and I I don't know if the rest of them are, but so it's in a situation like that. And again, I've talked plenty of times on here where I don't need to spend time in a casino.
Right.
Mainly what I mean is by myself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If I go there with somebody else and it's New Year's Eve and it's Kathy and, I'll take $50 or I'll take whatever I take. And, I'm not gonna be, feeding the ATM with one of my cards to go get more money. And either I'll walk out of there, pleasantly surprised or pissed, one of the two, but, but so we're going to have, it's a steakhouse. And, they got, Kathy said that, her and Mom used to go there every once in a while. I think she's gone there with Cheryl and her friends. And, we got a reservation at like 6 for that. And, who knows, maybe the casino.
Right. All right. So we both have some gambling in our future.
Yeah.
Because I'm going out to Michael and Megan's and playing poker.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. My girlfriend Kristen's got to work. Unfortunately, her field hospital she works at is 24 hours. So everybody's got to take their turn for a holiday, and she's all, yeah, screw it, I'll do New Year's Eve. So she's working from 5 p.m. till 1 a.m. So I was like, yeah, well, I guess I'll go hang out. I don't want to sit here by myself. That's sad. It's not really. I don't really care. But yeah, so we'll go out and, we have a dirty Santa exchange. And so we'll have little gifts and hang out and eat food. And then we'll play some cards. And were you at the first one? I don't remember.
New Year's?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I
don't think so either.
I've been meaning to come back there, but the couple of times when I really had it set in my mind to do it, the weather was going to be shitty, and I'm like, I'm not going to travel just for that, or depending on the day it falls. I mean, this would have been the reason I was going to do it this year it would make sense. I mean, yeah, driving out there on Saturday, maybe coming back on Sunday, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm off on Monday, so it would have made
Yeah.
sense,
Right.
But yeah, more and more I thought about it, we still got I keep saying it.
Right.
It overwhelms my mind when I think about how much shit is still there. But we're getting through it. We're gonna get it worked out. But
right.
But yeah, we still got some shit to clean out there.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I don't think you were there. Yeah. The first time we've got a group of friends that we play poker semi-regularly. It hasn't been quite the same since the old pandemic, but for a number of years we were playing once a month, and
right.
For a number of years, and it was cool. But the first time we ever did it was New Year's Eve. Probably maybe 12 into 13 into 14 for sure, but I think we were all
and I don't know, it might
sober,
have been
so that would make sense.
12,
and that was that was a hell of a night. We didn't start playing cards till close to 11 or 10:30, something like that, and then we have a rule now: there's no more buy-ins after midnight. But we were buying back in. We ended up playing until about 5 or 6 in the morning.
Oh my God, really?
Oh yeah, it was stupid. Yeah, bunch of drunks and drug addicts, and more.
Right.
We were all loopy and exhausted, and it was crazy, but fun. and we've been doing it, like I said, semi-regularly ever since then, almost 10 years. Probably 10 years.
Well, and it's funny. I think when I might have just talked over you a minute ago because I didn't hear you. I thought you stopped, and then I started to say something. You were talking again.
Yeah.
So I think we had that little cutoff piece again. So, but you know what? The voices will end up on the recording, but I just didn't hear that initial part. But we're cool. I just if I talked over Mike, I actually didn't mean to that time. So
whatever.
Right.
They'll figure it out.
Right. But and it might have if it was a 2013 to 14, because that's right after I moved back to Wisconsin. I don't know why I wouldn't have been there for the first one.
Right.
Other than that, I didn't do anything on New Year's Eve. You and I, though, a couple of when we lived together, even in the 3-quarter house, that first year, second year, we would have been in our place, and we just sat around, did nothing.
Right.
So.
Well, shit. One of those years, I know I was out working because I ran my phone over with my truck.
You know what? That's right, because that's the one where fucking Jorge had his all night thing, and I finally started jumping on the fucking floor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah,
I was in the wilds of eastern Pennsylvania.
Well, it's just I about had enough when he started blasting Frank Sinatra, New York, and whatever it was, fucking 3 a.m. And hey, no offense to Frank, love the song, but like at that point, you need to go to fucking bed.
Right.
But you know what? Actually, on that note, I'm looking at where we're at. Do you feel like taking a little break here?
Let's take a little break.
Let's take a break. Well, talk us out, man.
All right, man. Yeah. Yeah, stand by from a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature. Have you visited our website lately? If not, it's www.SoberNotMature.com. While you're there, you can listen to all of our episodes or find links to where our episodes can be played, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and others. We do have a blog page for some of the writings that we've done. We've got a web store where you can take a look at all of our merchandise, buy yourself a t-shirt or a hoodie, maybe even a mug. You can see our review section where you can actually leave a review or see what people have been saying about us. You can check out our sponsor page. We've got a contact page. Basically, any opportunities that we have to contact or interact with us are on our website. Also, you can buy us a coffee, or you can just find other ways to support the podcast. Visit us today at www.SoberNotMature.com. All right. Welcome back.
Yeah, that was smooth.
Again from that, was that 2 episodes ago that you did that too? You're like,
I
hey, I'm
don't
not
know, man.
habit.
Hamina.
I'm sure nobody knows who Laurel and Hardy are, but that's exactly what it reminded me of. Habba. Oh man, that was fun. So, but yeah. So, once again, I think so. We're good on New Year's Eve. The plans, the good plans, the
good
stories,
plans, right? And again, like all these holidays, they're all made up. Don't take them too damn seriously.
Right.
Stay sober and wake up on the first, and don't be hungover, and give your kid a kiss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is that I mean, there's so many, and I know that a lot of sober people, sober friends of ours over the years, they've made it I mean, and it should be, and at that point, all the times that you figure you not fucked your kids over, but we're there for your kids on things like that. So why not? You got that opportunity to be, to be with your kids, and a lot of people make that choice on New Year's Eve. What a great opportunity,
Yep. Exactly.
So. That's where the memories are made.
Yeah. Watch the Rose Parade.
Right. So the other thing I kind of wrote down, and I led into it a couple minutes ago with the stuff at Bombs, and it's and I think I know what the deal is, but this is an opportunity, and Kathy and I were talking about this a little bit too, but opportunity for you to kind of be a therapist. I think I know the answer,
Okay.
but it's just that. So I was over at Mom's for the estate sale, and when I went over there and they had everything priced out, that it was weird, and that kind of freaked Kathy out. And I get it, because it did me too. It's all her stuff,
right.
Just whatever. All that leading up to that was weird. But I've talked about that. But then when I got back and I walked into the house and I'm looking and I'm just like, it's like everything's still fucking there, and I'm like, oh my God. And I told Kathy, I'm like, I just waited for everyone to leave, fucking locked up the house, and I left. I mean, I knew that the big stuff that had sold, but Kathy's like, did this sell it? I'm like, I don't even know if the kitchen table is still there. I was fucking walked out, because I'm like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
And then we've been over there a couple of times since, and it's like I walk into the house and I'm immediately like fucking overwhelmed. And I told her it reminded me a little bit of just recently, that like 6 months ago recently, when I was cleaning out my apartment and putting all that stuff into storage and stuff like that. Because I mean, you were at my place. My place didn't look like yours is. I mean,
right.
And I don't mean that in a bad way.
I know.
Your house is ridiculously cool, but there's a lot of fucking shit in there.
Right.
But it's not messy. A lot of shit. It's set.
Yeah.
You'll have to take pictures sometimes. We'll post it on Instagram. I can't explain his house. It's fucking cool.
Right. Yeah. I got a lot of cool stuff all over the damn place, but yeah.
Yeah.
House is a museum. When people come to see them, they really are a scream. Yes.
Yeah, his house is, I mean, it's set up nicely. When you walk in, you don't feel cluttered or anything like that. But I've always been a little bit more of I'd say a minimalist when it comes like that, when I've been on my own, which is fine, but there was still a lot of stuff. And even Mom's house, she didn't have, you could walk through and whatever, but when you start looking at everything like that, you're like, fucking A. Right. And, just once again, I mean, the work hasn't gotten any better. I'm not going to get into that whole story, but so there's that, and there's, obviously the just dealing still kind of every once in a while, the almost the surrealness of, just her not being around anymore. But then realizing we had this delay. We just got the estate account done 3 days ago.
Right.
I mean, because the attorney was dragging their feet, and then the courts and this and that, it was just super stressful, so the only way that I can put it is, when, like I said, when I walk in the house, I almost don't know what I do with myself. And I'm figuring, and I think I know what the problem is. It's just that there's all these different pieces, and it's just, it's fucking overwhelming. Right. I mean, it's got to
be. Right.
So, but I mean, that's all it is. And I mean, part of it, I feel like I'm walking around in a fog. I mean, Mike and I are working on some positive stuff. We got some cool shit going on. Kathy's involved in that too. We got there's good things. And I was just telling Mike the other day, I think when I texted you, I said, this thing that I've been working on and we're working on, I tell myself that I'm 1 hour a night, that I'm
Right.
going to spend, no more, no less.
Mhm.
But I put a limit on it because I know better. I just got to
Right.
sit back and I got to do fucking nothing,
Right. Oh yeah.
Um, but it's one of those things where, I mean, these are in, not that, I don't, maybe I shouldn't make this assumption that people think that. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I don't feel overwhelmed to the point where I want to numb myself with anything. That has
Mhm.
never crossed my mind.
Right.
But as I've done before, as I'm feeling overwhelmed, I do, and I've said this in way early episodes, and this has been a practice of mine for years. I always ask
Mhm.
myself, I'm like, do you want to drink?
Right.
And I don't,
Mm-mm.
um, but it's just a matter of we're trying to just trying to prioritize all this stuff. It's tough, it's
Yeah.
weird, but
Yeah, well, I
so
mean, but like you said, you practice. You have these tools, you have these exercises to do to stop yourself, to stop ourselves. We have these things that we've been taught how to do it. We get overwhelmed. All right, stop. Do one
right,
thing at a time, one step at a time, the first thing, then the next thing. Yeah, all these things that we've been taught that keep us from getting out of control and saying fuck it and numbing ourselves. We don't have
right,
to today. We have other ways to deal with things. That's a wonderful thing.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's and the other thing too is, to be able to, to talk about it too. And
Mm-hmm.
Kathy and I have I don't know, kind of outside conversations about this. But I mean, both of us are kind of busy. It's not like the two of us, sit down like you and I do here for an hour,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and talk about this stuff. And I know Kathy listens to these episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say it right, right out to her. It says nothing to do with you, Kathy. Just
Right.
sometimes you're going this way, I'm going that way, and then by the
Right.
time that we would have time to talk, both of us just want to. She sits and she eats and she watches, Netflix or movies or whatever on her
Mm-hmm.
computer downstairs, and I'm hanging out up here, kind of doing the same thing. But
Right.
but yeah, to your point, and I'm glad you said that. I mean, having that ability and having that knowledge to be
Mm-hmm.
able to I guess if nothing else, the fact that I wrote it down in two different ways. I wrote down that I'm irritable, and I wrote down that I feel overwhelmed. I did it, and
Mm-hmm.
this has been over a 2 week period. That this other note was from 2 weeks ago. You
Uh-huh.
know, so I did it in two different ways, and I'm like, "Fuck, man, I wrote that down twice." But the whole point is, I guess maybe the good news is I recognize when I'm I don't know, flipping out in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Starting to spin a little bit. Yep. Yeah. We catch ourselves now. That's a nice thing.
Right.
Yep.
Well, when and I what was the other day? Oh, we finally got, because again the court stuff. So yeah, it was Monday. No, I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
Tuesday. Tuesday that we finally get everything approved. So Kathy went, or no, whatever it was. Tuesday is when we ended up dropping off, or got rid of the car. So the car was
Uh-huh.
finally, because somebody bought the car during the estate sale.
Right.
Somebody that the people that ran the estate sale knew, but we
Uh-huh.
couldn't sign off on the title because we didn't have the
Right.
court's approval. All
Right.
this
Right.
different
Right.
shit.
Nope.
So I told Kathy, I'm like, well, I need to go over there because I said I want to make sure the car starts.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'll go ahead and text Jerry, and then figure out what his timing is, because Kathy was off this week, but she was still working from
Yeah.
here.
Right.
I'm like, whatever works. So as it turned out, I was gonna like stop working at like 11 in the morning, go take a long lunch. Figure if it took a couple hours, that's fine, because I was
Mm-hmm.
just gonna get over, start the car, make sure it ran, do whatever. But then
Right.
this Jerry said, hey, he goes, I could meet you there at 11:30. I'm like, perfect. I said,
Mm-hmm.
so I left a little bit before 11, got over, the car wouldn't start.
Of course.
So I jumped it, not a big deal, got
Mm-hmm.
it all started running. It's like 20 to 12, and he's still not there. And I
Mm-hmm.
texted him, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I said,
Right.
you on your way? I said, I got to get back to work. And he's like, oh, he goes, yeah, we'll be there shortly. We just got we're on the expressway.
Right.
And I'm
We just
like,
left Chicago.
well, here's the thing. So worst case scenario, and from where Mom's house was to get to the closest on ramp to the freeway is,
Right.
it's a good 15 minutes.
Right.
So I'm like, even if he's getting off the highway right now, I'm like, okay. So he didn't get there until like quarter after 12. So, and I'm just sitting there and I'm fucking irritated, but I'm
Of
like,
course.
okay, no, I'm like, this is the deal. In my head, I'm sitting there. We made these people wait for 2 weeks almost. I'm like, I
Right.
can wait for another 20 minutes. I'm fine, but I'm still getting irritated.
Of
But
course.
I'm talking to myself and talking to myself. And then, so all said and done, he comes, this and that. So because my plan was at least to come back and, have time to eat real quick before I had to work again. So I get back and Kathy's talking, and when I walked in the house, I'm like, shit. I just sat down and I ate right away because I was fucking irritated. I'm like, I have no right to be really, but I'm like, maybe I'm just hungry. So
Right.
I ate. I felt a little bit better, and I'm like, oh crap. So I was hungry also.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so that goes back to our halt thing, right? Hungry, angry,
Right.
lonely, tired, right?
Yeah.
So as it turned out, and I didn't realize that I was fucking irritated. I was hungry.
Right.
I'm always tired, but so
Right.
that doesn't even.
That's right.
I mean, really,
that's just a given. Oh yeah, I know, man. I do fucking 12, 13-hour days most days of the week. I understand.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you were, and I've said that from the start, especially when we're doing this, and we've talked about a couple of things that, I'm doing on the side type of thing with this. I've got more time when it comes to that than you do, and I get that because I mean, the hours that you work, and driving around like that, those are long fucking days.
They are.
That's why I said. I mean, I just know that's just being 54, man. I'm fucking tired all the time anyhow.
Right, and I'm a couple of months away from 56. So, yep.
See, I wasn't going to say it. You fucking jumped on me last time. I said you were almost 56.
Yeah, well, it's getting closer.
Right, so now you can actually...
once it gets about 2 months away, that I start going, all right, I got to fucking flip that calendar again and change that number and fuck.
Right. Yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean, the thing with this too, and and the other thing I kind of wrote down, and maybe this is a nice lead into it, was because I was thinking too with all of this stuff, irritable and overwhelmed and whatever. I'm like, God, I haven't done a gratitude list in a while, which would probably help, but being grateful. Being grateful is not necessarily gonna make that house get cleaned up, for instance, or make my job better. But then again, I mean, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Practice what we preach, right? So, and I didn't do it yet because I wanted to save it. So, if you had, and I wrote this down, like I said, let's do a gratitude list. So, top 3 things that we're grateful for. Can you, right off the top of your head, could you label or say 3 things that you're most grateful for?
Sobriety, that comes first,
right?
And all that comes with it. I'm not a slave. I don't feel like shit all the time. All that. Yeah, that's all wonderful. And then, the people in my life, Chris and you and Kathy and Amber and, Lydia and all my friends. And so the people, 2 and 3, all my crap. I like it.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. I like all my crap. Again, but it's down on the list. It doesn't, again, I'm not ruled by shit anymore. I'm not a slave to anything anymore. So yeah, that's nice. So there's 3 off the top of my head.
Well, and what's funny is that you and I I was thinking along the same lines as you, is just usually the number one thing. And the funny part is I never think to put sobriety on the list because it's like putting, I hope I can breathe. I want to breathe.
Yeah,
I want to breathe today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we know of somebody that, of course, had breathing troubles. But you're 100% correct. I mean, in that, and I live by that philosophy, because the thing of it is that out of those 3 things that you mentioned, as much as it would hurt, I mean, you said it before, and I've said it before. All that shit can be stolen out of your house, and you're still going to be okay. All those people that you mentioned, could go away, and that would hurt like fucking hell. But if you take that first one away, all the other stuff goes away too. So, and that's what we were taught, and I think it's so powerful. In that, we've said this one, and again, Todd, not that we're going to say his last name, but I've said this before.
Mm-hmm.
He led a Gordon Square, and what he said the one time in that lead, and this was God probably 5-6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
was he said the second drink will cost him a few bucks, the
Mm-hmm.
first drink will cost him everything.
Right.
And this is a dude that I think Todd's got the same amount of time as us, if I'm thinking correctly. A couple
Mm-hmm.
months more, a couple of months less, right in that time frame.
All right.
But we've heard some of these statements by people that have had, 30 years or 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
But statements like that are so hugely important.
Right.
But so back to that, I agree with the sobriety thing, and I agree with the people part. And that the thing that popped into my head was just regardless of anything else, and you just brought up another one, which I'm grateful for, is the tools to deal with it. But
Mm-hmm.
I go back to what you said: enjoy the freedom.
Yep.
The freedom that I have today I don't have everything that I necessarily want. We talk about
Mm-hmm.
when we're kids.
Right.
We didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of money. Our mom didn't.
Right.
But I don't remember not having things that we needed. But
Mm-hmm.
we might not have had everything we wanted.
Right.
But same deal. I've got the freedom, to do whatever I want, or at least to strive to do whatever I want. The rest is up to
Mm-hmm.
me. I've
Right.
got the freedom to do it. There's nothing that's holding me back anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's something that money can't buy either. It's just that we stay sober and look at all. What are you gonna do with your sober? Whatever the fuck I feel like doing when I'm sober. Do you remember that somebody had to say that? That could have been a Marty thing. That could have been at one of the meetings that
Right.
somebody said that right off the bat when we were newly sober.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I don't remember who said it, but I do remember someone said it.
Yeah. It was just really that simple thing. It's like, well, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
We're all like, wait, what?
What?
But it was so true, and
Mhm.
because there really isn't. There's nothing. I mean, with the exception of, yeah, if you don't have the physical ability to do it, or the
Right.
mental capacity, I'm not going to go out and be a fucking brain surgeon, but
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not going out and running a marathon tomorrow. I know that.
I've vowed never to run again unless somebody's chasing me.
That's right. And you better be bigger than me. And
Right. If I happen to own a gun at that point, I'm not going to run.
That's right.
And we had talked about, and I blew right over it because I think we were talking about jamming vibrators someplace at the beginning
Probably.
of this. But
Yeah.
we were talking about, did you pick out a reading to do?
You know what? I do have one.
Okay.
I thought we were gonna start the show with it, but
I know. And again, that was my plan. I forgot about it, but because again, seriously, that's when we got off on that whole fucking tangent. Because literally, it was like the first thing written on this sheet, below some like nonsensical shit that I have. But yeah, I mean, if you want to do it, so what we're gonna try to do, and because I liked the fact that Mike brought up that reading in last week's episode after we did the break, and it's when we were at the Keating Center. Just to give a little bit of a kind of a backstory to all this, we had groups and we had meditations, and next week we'll talk about January 6th because it'll be that day.
It will,
so that'll be cool. But in the group that Mike mainly did the group, but I sat in with him, he would always start off with a reading at the beginning of every group. So I thought that, it'd be cool, and either something that we can have a discussion on, or just kind of have, throw a reading out. Readings work well for us, and we thought it'd be cool for other people. So
yeah, exactly. And when you suggested it, it was very cool because clearly I don't do group at the Keating Center anymore. They've changed some of the format, curriculum, whatever you want to call it there. And my old ass doesn't fit in to what they're doing there, which is fine, which is cool. But I do miss that. And so I had to come up with a reading every week because I did group there every week for years.
Right.
And and that was one of the things. So when you suggested it the other day, I was like, oh yeah, cool. I get to pull them out. And actually my copy of God Grant Me, I've got dozens of pages dog-eared from ones that I always used at group.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And and I it was generally I would, as I read it every morning, every week when I was doing group, I would, look for one to do that Saturday. And, and sometimes I wouldn't, whatever, for whatever reason during the week, nothing really popped at me. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go to the one that I always went to. This is actually October 18th, which happens to be Chuck Berry's birthday. Um, Chuck Berry is a rock and roll guitar player, kids. Google that shit.
Yep. Use the Google machine to figure out who he is.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, October 18th was one that I always went to if I didn't have anything. And so there you go. So here it is. Piglet was so excited at the idea of being useful that he forgot to be frightened anymore. A.A. Milne, Winnie the Pooh. That's right, kids. We should have learned this shit when we were 4. And the reading is, recovery is about action and finding and creating our place in the world, whereas addiction is about pretending. Recovery pushes us to do service work because in service work, we see that we have value and that the world needs us. Our active addiction was a life of fear, which we often changed into anger or grandiosity. We acted as if we had a purpose and were of value when secretly we knew we had none. So we need to get involved, to get busy. In fact, we should get so busy that we forget we have fear. We will start to see fear as a signal for us to get busy. We must remember that recovery is a program of action. It is not a spectator sport. We should ask ourselves, am I into action or into fear? Prayer for the day. Higher power, you gave me my fear for a reason. I now see it as a sign for me to get busy. Help me be a person of action and purpose. Today's action, because this is a program of action. Today, I will list any fears that are getting in the way of my recovery. I will talk with my sponsor about what action is needed. How many times did I say action in that reading?
It's twice. No, well, it was a lot. And the funny thing is that for people who have been listening to us for, even if it's been 10 episodes or 15, whatever it's been, you talk about that, you say that all the time. You talk about action and the program of action, and that reading, goes through the entire thing. And I like the fact that you had just talked about the fear thing. So that just made me think about this whole being overwhelmed and all that stuff, because you and I have always talked about, we were taught that, usually whatever is freaking us out, whether it's stressing us, making us mad, this and that, there's a fear to it.
Right.
And, I'm sure there is, it's that fear of, because I don't know, it's back to a fear of loss, right? It's not about the stuff. Right. It's about what that stuff represents, I'm sure. Right. I mean, it's got at least part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And a fear of, again, not being good enough to handle it. And, we're all kinds of fucked up if we want to start digging into it.
I'll second that one.
Right. Yeah. It's, again, this is not original thought here. Everything, all the negative shit in our lives is based in fear. Right. Fear that we're not good enough, fear of loss, fear of being alone, fear of, and quite often we turn it into anger or grandiosity, as the reading says. We get pissed off because we're scared, or we puff ourselves up and make ourselves bigger because we're scared. Right. Yeah, it's all out of fear, man. And, like the fourth step in the 12 and 12 says, man, we've got these natural instincts, and we just blow them out of proportion. We start getting ruled by them, and we thankfully we have learned and been taught to control these things and not be ruled by these things. And one of the best ways to do that is to get off our asses and go help somebody else. And what do you know? We forget, like Piglet says, man, I got so busy, I forgot I was scared.
Right. Well, and that's why the you know, the meetings that you know, they obviously stressed us going to meetings with the Keating Center, and
Hmm.
even you and I, you know, going to, you know, the specific meetings we did on Friday night,
Right.
and us doing this, and now, I mean, this is episode in 45 weeks, you
Hmm.
know, we haven't missed, you know,
Nope.
and we've we've had some shit going on, you know.
Yep. Oh
It's
yeah.
and again, we've had these
Good
bad
and bad.
moments, or these, yeah, or these odd moments, and you know, you were in Mexico. I mean, our mom died.
Hmm.
You know, the figure again, the move down here. You've had stuff going on while you
Right.
work and whatever.
Yeah.
We've tried to,
Right.
you know, schedule guests. It's like, you know, literally, we committed to the point of, you know, the whole, you know, come hell or high water type of thing. We're going to do
Hmm.
this, you know.
Well, again, half the shit is just showing up.
Hmm. Right.
Yep.
But in seriously, it's just that. And I am not going to go, you know, through everything that has been going on, especially this week with work. But
Hmm.
I was not in a good place in my mind. I talked to Kathy and shit about it. But
Right.
here's a funny part, and this has been happening for months, and I've said it on here. Is that literally the minute, you know, it's like the minute I would get into my car when I was still in Milwaukee, you
Hmm.
know, again, especially when it was nice out, you know, the windows are down, the sunroof's open,
Yep.
fucking Foo Fighters or whatever the hell else I might have
Uh-huh.
on, you know, or just listening to a podcast on the way home.
Right.
And that just that wiped away, you know, that whatever was on my mind. I'm in a great
Hmm.
mood because I knew I was coming home on a Friday night, coming home to do this. And the
Right.
same deal, you know. I mean, I couldn't wait for fucking work to go over, shitty this, shitty that, feeling
Right.
whatever bad these bad moments. But
Hmm.
it's like as soon as the day's over, I'm like, boom, totally different mood because I know I get to do this.
Right.
You know, and it's the it's not just I mean it is fun. I don't think, well, I don't think we would do this if it wasn't fun, right? I mean,
No, no.
but I mean, so it is fun, but I mean it's
Hmm.
also it's serving that purpose. Same thing as meetings, you know. They used to
Right.
tell us, you know, go to meetings until keep make what is it, like, make yourself go to meetings until you want to go or something like that, or until
Right.
however they word it, you know.
Something crazy like that.
Yeah, you know, to the point where it's like, you know, you go because you have to, and then you start going because you want to. And
Right.
I mean, we started doing this because we wanted to, one way or the other.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's the whole point. It's an outlet. It's fun, you know, but
Right.
it's an outlet for us. So, but
Right. And it's also commitment. And I mean,
right,
there's been weeks where I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go do the podcast,
right,
or I mean, and definitely on one of the other podcasts we guested on, whatever, that night, I did not want to fucking do that.
right.
And I ended up having a good time because I got to hang out and talk to a couple of drunks and talk recovery. And yay, guess what? I got out of my own fucking head and life got better. Ooh.
Yeah, that was the one with Tracy, with cleaning out the closet. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
believe so.
yeah, we started off talking about that we were her first threesome.
Right, that's right. Yeah, we'll see. How can you be in a bad mood when you're in a threesome?
Right, and that's how that started out.
Right.
But no, I agree. You know, and it is sometimes when that's the other thing that I wrote down in here too, which is kind of funny because hang on one second, I just want to read. Oh, this is what I wrote down.
Hmm.
And this was also a couple weeks ago, maybe even 3 weeks ago. A lot of times when we're done recording, I feel
Hmm.
like the episode's going to be garbage.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, do you feel that way too
Oh
sometimes?
hell, sometimes when we're doing it,
Right. Well,
right
and
now, this is a bunch of crap.
right. But I mean, but that's the thing, as we're either I don't feel like I don't know, I don't feel like it's flowing, or I don't feel like the
Right.
information is coming out the way that, you know, again, we wanted to, or whatever the case
Hmm.
is. But I do, and I
Trying to
know you.
control things, huh?
Right. Well, it's not trying to well, it is to an extent, but as I'm listening to it, I just don't. I hope that we're putting out something that's meaningful, you
Right.
know, because I care about it. And sometimes
Hmm.
I'm like, what the fuck was this mess,
Right.
you know? And I know you don't listen to all the episodes, which is cool.
Right.
But I mean, I listen to all of them. And sometimes I've listened to, you know, a certain episode more than once. But
Hmm.
when I listen back, I'm like, fuck, man, this is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's again, it's maybe our idea perfect. I don't know if it lands with everyone as being
Yeah.
perfect, but
Right.
fuck it.
Well, and I mean, and sometimes we get feedback where, we don't think we did anything and it hits somebody the right way, and that's all that fucking matters.
Right. Yep. Yep. Oh, it was funny today. So, did you see the meme that I posted about everyone you meet knows
Oh yeah.
something that? Okay,
Know
so
something that you don't know. Yeah.
yeah, which is
And of
and
course
I
I had the snarky answer that I didn't answer with, Yeah, well, if they know something I don't know, it's fucking I don't need to know it.
yeah, probably not important, right?
Right.
But and this was what again something I ran across in one of my photos from however long ago. So I know for a fact I posted it on Facebook before, but I
Uh-huh.
was kind of joking with mind blown because I mean literally when you think about it, I mean how could that not be true, right? But
Sure.
and then one of our followers who's and she's pretty active in commenting and interacting with us and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and she had made a comment. She's like oh, I could teach you how to do this. She does crocheting and knitting and stuff like that. I think it was like a
Ah.
cozy for a coffee cup or something. She said,
Ah.
or I could teach you the difference between this and this, whatever it was. And that was like two comments, and then she's like, so what could you teach me? And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of I messaged back and I said, well, I know how to run a podcast. And I said that might seem like a kind of like a meaningless task or a menial task or an easy one, but
Right.
the amount of things that you and I have gone through to get this to the learning and the testing and all that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing, we've learned a ton, over the
Right.
last how 10 months or whatever it's been.
Right.
And this is the funny part. So she had messaged back that, and she said I think the evolution between, or she goes, the evolution that you and Mike have had, she said, is
Mm-hmm.
so clear between the first episode and the
Oh
most
yeah.
recent episodes, and something along those lines. And but she said she still likes it when life pops in, and she put two quotes on there. She's like, "What is that crinkling?" And then, which was Kathy. And then
Uh-huh.
the other one was, oh, there goes the dogs again. But she put those two things in the quotes. I told Kathy that she was laughing before, but I said that I'm like, you know what? I said as good as we ever think we might get, or we do get at this, or however good
Mm-hmm.
it sounds, I don't ever want any of that shit to go away. Like the fact
Right.
that you like when you stumble over the just try to say a word from our sponsor, or when you tried to read your little out statement without your fucking glasses,
Right.
and you're pulling up your phone and all it is static all over the recording. What are you doing? Fireworks going off, sound like you're getting shot at your
Right.
house.
And gunshots and
Yeah,
cars and yeah, the idiots next door playing their music too loud. Thank
right.
God. Well, actually, it's not that cold here today, but yeah, they've been staying inside, so that's nice.
but yeah, all of that stuff. So I just thought it was really nice. But the crinkling thing, Kathy's like, she's like, I didn't think it was that loud until I actually listened to the podcast. I'm like, well, yeah, finally, I was trying to let it go and finally, what the fuck are you crinkling? But it was funny. This would not be this without those things. And
Exactly.
once again, so if anyone is new to listening to this, or if you've listened from day fucking one, there is not one thing that we've ever, and I mean that for a fact, ever edited out of this.
Nope.
Ever. The
Nope.
only time when we had to cut something and we actually just repeated the same words was when I was in Cleveland for our anniversaries, that Dr. Bob's House episode, because
Right.
everything got so garbled and Mike was in the middle of a story that was important. So we cut the recording and started over at that point.
Right.
So we cut that piece, but the same, actually, when you listen back on it, because I listened back for something on that at one point, I ended up, we forgot where we had stopped. So it's like, I repeated part of the, you guys actually got double information in that episode because it was our stories were repeated. But other than that, no, we don't edit fucking shit, because it's just more fun. It's just more fun that way. So
that's right.
Oh yeah, and speaking of that, so we have Ashley from Sober Girl Podcast. We're going to mention that. I usually put a promo out. They did it this
Mm-hmm.
week, but we'll continue to do that. So we're recording with her on Saturday, January 14th. So the episode, I believe, will be live that Sunday. We're recording with her Saturday, and so the episode will be live on a Sunday. We have another person. Just confirmed that today. The guy's name is Dr. Rob. He touts himself as the Gordon Ramsay of recovery. So it's going to be interesting if you guys look him up. And did you end up watching his clips or no?
I a little bit, yeah. I did.
Okay,
yeah.
So
that's kind of what sold me on having him on the show.
Right. What's going to be interesting is that I think what's going to happen is going to be like a rodeo when we have him on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to introduce, we're going to open the gate. He's probably going to run fucking wild for an hour, which is fine because I think you know what, it'll give us an opportunity to rest our voice and minds and just listen to somebody for a while.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
There's maybe, but that's the thing, and but we, with that one, and even, I mean, actually we talked about it a little bit differently, but we, we did some research on this and went kind of back and forth and got it all set up. So he's going to be a little bit of a different guest, but that's not till February. I'll be out in Cleveland for a get together we're doing with some friends, but we're gonna do that one on February 3rd, record with him. And then we have two other ones. One of our followers sent us some information. She wrote a book and she's doing a lot of things helping out women. We're going to take a look at that. We're not going to mention names right now, but we may have that person on. And then another individual, one of our followers, has a kind of a group type of thing that she's working on and promoting. And we might, again, once we do some research, we might have that person on. So we've got some other opportunities to have guests on. So I know one that we're working on something else that we're going to end up having on again. That could be well, I'm not even going to mention it. Well, when it happens, it happens. But we've got another one that hopefully is going to happen soon too. But so if anyone out there is getting sick of just us,
like we are.
What it's I tell you what, it's funny though, and I think that that breaking it up like we plan on doing, having maybe one for sure, maybe two guests, in a month,
right?
And then having, splitting it that way, I think will be a good way to do it because there's always going to be things that you and I would like to talk about, and I think information that's cool, but yeah, it does. It helps getting other people's opinions out there.
Absolutely, yeah. We certainly don't have all the answers.
Really? I kind of felt like we did. Yeah, part of me kind of felt like we did, but
I know. Yeah, well, get over it.
I know. So, a couple of quick things here, and I'm sure that when was it? Like a week or so ago, I listened to. So, obviously, I listen to Mark Maron,
right?
And I found I scrolled through it accidentally, and this has got to be from a handful of years ago. Alice Cooper's episode.
Oh yeah. I heard that one. Yeah, when he dropped it.
Yeah, so I think that was 2017 or 18.
Right, something like that.
Does that sound about right?
A few years ago, yeah.
It was fucking great,
Yeah.
And I just don't know if I've ever heard an interview with him, but man, I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing about old Vince is he's got the same set of stories that he pretty much brings to everything, and
Oh, really?
Yeah, and some of them aren't always entirely true. So
I got you. I got you.
But whatever. He had a really good band when he started out. I know that.
But yeah, no, he was fun. It was a good interview. He was fun to listen to. But then there's another podcast that I was listening to. So, I mean, clearly, I know who Stevie Ray Vaughan was.
Sure.
But did you know he was sober?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I did, I forgot. But so there's another podcast, and this guy does basically it's structured. I mean, almost it's. I don't want to say dangerously close, but it's really, really close to being like a AA podcast. I mean, that's kind of how he sets it up that way. But
sure,
either way, he says he's not affiliated and he's not. But
right,
basically,
neither are we.
Right, exactly. He's more structured, far more structured. Well, most people are.
Yeah, that's a pretty low bar.
I know. But the cool part is that so he he met Stevie Ray Vaughan back
Mhm.
when, so the guy that's doing this now was like 19, and I'm guessing he's probably in his 40s or 40, whatever it was. It's been a
Right.
while ago. It's just a young kid. But he actually thought Stevie Ray Vaughan was homeless when he first showed up,
Uh-huh.
just because how he was all strung out and wiped out and whatever.
Right.
But they had and I looked it up, and it's actually it is published online. They had his Stevie Ray Vaughan's lead,
Mm.
and this dude was there when Stevie Ray Vaughan led, and
Mm.
this group where they led in Texas, whatever part of Texas it was in.
Right.
It was an interesting lead, and it was January of '90, so whatever it was, 8 months before he was killed.
Mhm.
So it just I don't remember. And he was like I think at that time, 3.5 years sober, something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
about what he made it to. Yeah.
Yeah, but and yeah, well, he was Wisconsin killed him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll do that to you.
I know. Yeah, for everyone out there, Alpine Valley. Yep, yeah, Alpine Valley.
Yeah.
I used to live. I lived about. First of all, saw plenty of concerts there, but I used to live about probably Alpine Valley is probably an hour southwest of where we used to live. It was
Uh-huh.
a cool venue. That's where I
Right.
saw Van Halen twice.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, at Alpine Valley. But yeah, it's a ski hill right off of there, and they left and it was
Mhm.
foggy, and the fucking helicopter, of course, ran right into the goddamn mountain. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so anyhow, I didn't. If I knew, if I heard that Stevie Ray Vaughan was sober, I just didn't. I had no recollection of it. So,
Mhm.
I don't know. It was just it one of those things I wrote down because it kind of blew my mind, and I guess I figured maybe you knew, but then
Yep.
again, who knows?
I did.
So yeah, sooner or later. So do you know any musicians anymore that all these fucking people are having like famous people on their podcasts? All the shit that you did over the years. Do you know anyone famous anymore or no?
Like personally, call him up on the phone. Uh,
say hey.
Nah.
No.
I like any good alcoholic, I burned all my bridges real well. So no, I mean, I could sit here and run off names of lots and lots of people that I knew back in the day,
Right.
but yeah, no, not really. I've
Right.
got friends of friends that are still doing stuff, but yeah, not nah.
What's I meant
Nobody real big.
like sober people, like so anyone big to sober.
No,
No. Okay.
no, just you.
I always have nothing to say to that because I know you just. I mean, it's usually I'm the one to say something like that, and you're like, "Yeah, whatever," and then you just said it to me, and it made me laugh even more. Just sitting back, yeah. No, Mike thinks I'm a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. You know how to run a podcast, so I hear.
Right. That's why I thought I just thought it was kind of funny. That's why I said that. That's why I said that to her. But then I was serious. I'm like, yeah, it is kind of. It's not that it's hard. It's just the learning curve on all this shit. But it was just even more funny what she said about, like I said, the crinkling part of it. But yeah. So
Right.
anyhow, I mean, I
just fucked you all up.
no, not at all. I thought it was actually kind of funny because I appreciate the fact that you said it, not me.
Right.
But what else? What else? I mean, I got other things on here, but it's obviously up to you. I know we're at like I don't know, minute 14, 15, right? Or not a minute, an hour.
Right.
A minute and 15 seconds we've been talking.
Right. We've got an hour to go. No, we wouldn't do that to you people.
Right. If we get somebody
Right.
famous on, we
Right.
will.
Is that what you're trying to do? If I can get anybody on here? No, I can't.
No, I was just as I was doing that. First of all, I didn't think so, but no, I just thought the Stevie Ray Vaughan, and we were talking about obviously Alice Cooper, and then I'm like, wait a second, who do you know that's famous? Yeah, so it's
Right.
just that was that segue. I didn't necessarily think that it'd be like, yes, I know so and so, and we could have
Right.
him on next week. It'd be like, wait, what?
I mean, if people I've met, and speaking of Marin, I mean, Courtney Love was on his show Monday, and
yeah.
she said she's got 5 years, so good for her. She sure as hell didn't when I met her.
Right. Well, and I saw that on Instagram because I follow Marin on we do, but yeah. So I saw that Courtney Love was on there. So I've been flipping through that. I mean, seriously, some of the episodes, and I have not listened to all of them. I scroll through for the ones that there's a lot of people I'd love to hear the the conversation with, but I scroll through and then I'm like, oh fuck, he talked to this person, then I'll pop into it. So it's great. I mean, I enjoy him. I mean, just him as an individual, but
he's a good shit.
Well, the only thing though is that the time frame that I'm listening to in that 2000 like basically 16, 17, 18 range.
Right.
Oh my God, he's fucking going off about Trump.
Yeah.
Which again, don't worry kids, we're not going to get into political stuff. I just
no.
I don't want to talk about politics one way or the other, but I've listened to people who go talk a lot about one side or talk a lot about another side, and both of them fucking irritate me because it's like Jesus, it just is, crazy, But
I was just talking to somebody at my home group last week about that. I was like, like half my friends are crazy liberals and half my friends are fucking Nazis. Yeah, commies and Nazis. Yep, that's pretty much it. I got them all.
Well, and the thing of it is, here's the cool part. And I never thought about it until you just said that, is that out of the whole group of friends, and let's take off all of our poker friends and stuff like that. You and I are, even though we don't talk about it, we just surprisingly ended up to be pretty much on the same level politically.
Right.
And you and I started voting along the same lines, which are not any of these, not the extremes, not that it matters, but.
Yeah.
But, somehow you and I ended up, and again, I have no idea how we lined up so well with everything. But so all these different people and these friends that we have, I don't ever remember being in a situation where any of our friends got political in a meeting or anything like that. Do you?
Right. Well, yeah. Well, not in a meeting because, we have no opinion on outside issues.
Well, you're not supposed to, but I told you about the club and, the club in Mequon. So
I was a little bit of sarcasm there. But, right. And again, right. Same thing. I have friends who are on the right and friends who are on the left.
Right.
I don't give a fuck, and I do my thing and you do your thing. And yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah. I go to the voting booth when it's supposed to, and I sleep well at night. So take from that what you want.
Right. Well, but it's that, and I never really thought about it until like you just said that, and I do, if I really paid attention, I could, it's pretty easy for me to pick out what side somebody's on, and I don't really care. Right. But the thing of it is nobody, like you said, we're not supposed to, but it doesn't always make a difference.
Right.
But people just don't get, our friends are not like that. And again, I mean, the group of friends that we
know better. We've been through so much shit. We know that all that stuff doesn't matter.
Right.
We know what's real.
Oh yeah, exactly. It shouldn't matter. It absolutely shouldn't, especially when it comes to this sort of thing. So
exactly. No matter who's sitting in whatever chair they're sitting in Washington, D.C., does not affect my life one way or another.
Right. Yeah, they're not the ones that are trying to take away the word alcoholic. Remember those episodes?
That's right. Or are they?
Stay tuned next week for Are They Trying to Take Our Words?
You'll take the word alcoholic out of my cold, dead hand.
You can take my guns, just don't take my fucking word.
Right.
You know what? I think we've done enough, haven't we?
Probably more than enough.
I know. Yeah, we probably should have ended 10 minutes ago, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We got to talk about politics and cold, dead hands, and
that's right.
Started off with vibrators, jams, and jellies. So
we have run everyone. The gambit, kids.
That we have. All right, brother. It is your time.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to another wonderful episode of Sober Not Mature. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other. Remember that sobriety is the most important thing in your life. And as long as you're not hurting anybody else, man, you're doing all right. And as always, please, 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 fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. climb over the gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
Once again, it's a wonderful episode.
Why not?
I know. I like the little additions every once in a while. So, all right, man. Everyone out there, again, be safe. Have a safe New Year. You should be.
Yeah.
Some people are going to be listening to this on New Year's Eve. Hey, stay home and listen to this fucking thing. Why not?
Yeah, right. That'll keep you fucking safe.
I thought you were going to say sane. I'm glad you said safe and not sane.
No. I was taught to be honest.
Right, exactly. We know better than that. All right, brother. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.